So, a couple of things. So, the first thing I wanted to talk about tonight was that I had a phone call from eBay today. I don't know whether anyone saw the post in the general chat. And this lady telling me that my sales have dropped over the last 30 days and wanting to help me. And I
Well,
thought for sure this is a scam. This is someone that's I have to pay to do something
So she's
for me.
going to put you on all the servers instead of just the one that works every now and again?
That's what I should have asked her that. Anyway, before she started off on a spiel, I said, oh, okay. So I said, so what are you offering? Like, I thought I'd cut to the chase. I'm not interested in fart-assing around for 15 minutes while you decide cut to the chase. And anyway, what all it was someone from eBay, like one of their agents, ringing up, promoting, how's my sound? Am I loud enough for everyone?
yep.
Promoting advanced promoted listings. And I said, well, I'm sorry, I'm not
Is that
interested.
why she rang?
Yeah, and apparently Rob also got the same call. I said, well, I'm very sorry, but I'm not in a position to be affording the cost of that at this stage. And like, thankfully, she didn't keep trying to, talk me into it, which sometimes people will do.
She's supposed to keep her KPIs up.
Wow, yeah. So it made me wonder. Oh, just dinner, Vanessa said. It did make me wonder how well are the advanced promoted listings doing? Like, as in for revenue for eBay.
Well, there wouldn't be many people taking them up on it.
So I did, kind of did make me wonder about that. So just, something to, if you get a phone call, that's what it's about. Because I've been, as I said, 2 years and 9 months, so they tell me, and no one's ever done that before. So, yeah. Now, the other interesting little thing that I wanted to make sure I did tell everybody today is that recent US YouTube reseller, or reseller YouTuber or YouTuber reseller, said that apparently in the US they put up the base promoted listing rate to 5% without telling.
Wow.
So it might be worth checking, because if anyone's got stuff that they've got promoted at 2 or 3%, I don't know whether, I didn't have time to check beforehand whether ours have gone up, but worth checking, because I'd be keeping an eye on that, because if
No, ours is still the same. Yeah.
that's all right then. Because, there would be a lot of people that would have stuff promoted at 2 and 3%, and then all of a sudden, if it goes up to 5, that's a big difference. That's nearly double.
Yep.
All right, so the topic of tonight was to talk about what are the current trends in reselling, as in not the trends of what's selling, but the trends of what are we being told to do to increase our sales, because those sort of trends come all the time. So the first one I came across, so we're going to discuss these and see what we think. So the first one I came across, what was getting into a particular niche that is maybe not one that you've sold in before, but that is selling well right at the moment. Would you, if you had the time and the inclination to want to make your eBay store grow, would you think about investing in a trending category that could be trending for a month, that might be trending for 2 months, 3 months, I don't know? Would you think about investing in stuff that's uber trendy right now to try and grow your store? Thoughts?
Sorry, can you say that again?
So, if you were wanting to grow your store, would you consider going into a niche, I guess a micro niche, that you haven't sold in before, but it's a particular type of product that is trending, selling a lot of right now?
Yeah, especially if it's something that's easy to list and sell.
So, all right. So, if it's easy to list and sell, that's a plus. What about that you don't know how long it's going to be trending for? Because most of the time, if you're going to be doing this, you're going to be buying a new product. Like, so you're going to be buying something off, what's your website that you like, Adam? Alibaba or AliExpress, or, would you do it
Yeah.
then?
My problem would be that if it was something that could in a month's time be gone, like pink scrunchies might work for 3 weeks, but in the 4th week, no one wants pink scrunchies.
Mm-hmm.
They've all got it. I'm probably not buying stuff that's only going to be short lived. If it's something that could be uber great now, but still be able to be sold, get your money back and a bit more later on, I probably would.
So what are your thoughts on, if it was if you knew it was going to be good for 3 months, or you knew it was going to be good for 6 months, or what's your sort of thoughts about what time frame that you'd look at? Hello, have I disconnected myself?
We all do
What
it
do you
anyway.
mean by the time frame?
Like, so if you're buying a trending product, right, it's only going to be trendy for a short period of time, because that's how trends work. Is it going to be trending for the whole of the summer season, or is it going to be something that is only going to be trending, as John said, like for 4 weeks, and then they're going to move on to the next colour?
Yeah,
So
flash in
would
the
you do it, like what sort of length of time would make it that you would be interested in?
Well, I don't even understand. Well, you got to wait for it to be delivered or whatever, don't you? Or you have, or is it something I'm finding secondhand?
No, you're not finding it secondhand. Generally, this sort of stuff would be stuff that you would buy new off somewhere like AliExpress or Alibaba or one of those websites.
I think, Leanne, if it's something like Bluey or something that the kids are into at the time, that's going to hang around for a bit longer, isn't it? Like that sort of thing. But as opposed to like Halloween, then you're looking for the, few weeks.
Yeah.
Like a kids thing would probably be a good thing, that's popular at the moment. That seems to stay for a bit longer than a seasonal thing. I don't know. That's my thing.
What's coming up at the movies that's going to go bunker? That would be nice.
Yes, Sandra.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, I'd probably even be it depends with kids stuff too, because I mean, stuff like say Blue is popular at the moment, but say if all of a sudden, what am I looking at here? Two Little Monkeys became really popular, right? So that's a new series, and it's become really popular. There's a cartoon, and so you can get, toys of some sort. Like, I think something like that would be okay, because it's probably got a bit of longevity. But if it's just a toy that's come out, like, say, those fidget spinners or something, I probably would be quite inclined to.
Yeah. But you could buy, like, Montessori toys.
Yeah.
Because they've got a bit of,
Yeah.
I don't know, trucks go through Montessori's. Not sure.
So, yeah, it's just something to consider, because that was one of the ideas that's come up with someone that's on YouTube, that they're spruiking that this is how I started growing my store and got it, my sales picked up because I started selling in this new, and it's not something that you're already selling, right? This is someone that's, say, is a bookseller, say, but then goes and starts buying Bluey cars.
Launching new paperbacks.
Yeah, well, no, because if you're a bookseller, you're still selling books, so that wouldn't probably not the same. What they're talking about is going into a completely new niche, but not as a big thing, only with just that trending range. So
you could focus on. Sorry, Leanne. I was going to say you could focus on people that have died, like say Rob Granger, or his aprons, or tea towels, or or Michael Mosley's.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that might be a starting point for doing this. Absolutely.
Well, yeah. But I guess what this person was saying was not actually, not even stuff you can buy secondhand like that you're going to find secondhand. They're talking about, as well as what they're doing with their secondhand sales, what they did was they went to one of these, I guess you could put Temu in that class, went to one of these bigger, sort of conglomerates from China or something where you can get cheap stuff, and say, green coloured dinosaurs suddenly became fashionable, and so they've gone and bought quite a bit of stock of the green coloured dinosaurs, and they've sold that short term.
Yeah.
And it would be a replenishable item, I guess, would be the other advantage, because once you've got it listed, you're not having to relist it all the time.
I think for me, I would have to make enough that I'm very happy with what I'm making per month, but I had a bit of spare to play around with. A little bit of play money, and that would be my play money to start doing that.
Yeah,
but I'd give it a go if I had the money as spare money, which I'm kind of at the stage where I don't need to buy that much stuff now. So the play money is starting to get to a point where that's possible.
Yep. And I had exactly the same thoughts as you, John. I would have to be at a point where I'm quite comfortable with a certain regular income coming in. And
how do you get the information to read that market and to find that product that you think is going to trend? It's one of those things that
yeah. I mean, you've got to be ahead of it, haven't you? You've got to be at the start, try and get it early on. It's no good getting something like that.
so you have to know something about either a new thing that's coming out, or you've got to have like teenagers that can fill you in on what the teens are going to want, or yeah, that's the. But yeah.
Yep, no, I agree. Well, not everyone's got grandkids, of course, but my grandkids are a good source of information for toys. And even books, like, yeah, because they give me the topics that they really are into. So ask.
Liam, what about fashionable items like a particular clothing that all of a sudden becomes fashionable, like the thing to wear, or
Yeah,
Could be anything.
well, it could be anything. And as an example, I was in Mildura on the weekend, and of course, Brittany, darling daughter that she is, did the usual, Mum, I'll take you op shopping, knowing full well that if she takes me op shopping, when she buys stuff at that op shop, she'll put it on the counter and I'll pay for it all when I pay for mine. Anyway, it works out for both of us, so that's fine. And anyway, it worked out quite well because she brought along a friend of hers, so I was actually able to go and look at the belts and the books, and the two girls went and looked at, well, it had a good thing and a bad thing. So they looked at bags, handbags, and the clothing, right? So they basically weren't buying much clothing for themselves unless they saw something they really wanted. They weren't buying to resell. So they were scouting all the clothing and bringing it to me and saying, "Is this any good? Is this any good?" So that was good. On the downside, I didn't get a single solitary handbag because someone has decided that she'll start selling handbags because they're worth money. So I didn't get any handbags, but anyway, they brought me over some stuff, and it was interesting because there's probably 4 different brands that I picked up that I haven't had before that I probably would have bypassed because I didn't know them, but they tell me they're good. They're good ones to have. So yeah, I've come home with those brands. So we'll see how right they
We'll
were.
see how that is. Yeah. Yes, I've still got the handbags that my sister gave to me one time in an op shop. just saying.
G'day, Neil. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so that's just a thought. So, and I guess the thing to consider with doing that, because we've got, say, the likes, well, just in here alone, like Sandra and Jen in particular, like you're both pretty much booksellers without selling much other stuff. So there's nothing wrong with, at a particular stage in time and place, there's nothing wrong with adding an extra niche for a short period. I guess you just need to be wary about how much money you're investing. You wouldn't want to buy too much. Like, I mean, hey, if you had to buy 10,000 units and they all sold, great. But, you just have to watch that.
Yeah, and it's almost like Adam in his gambling money in like buying products from
the auction.
Like buying a pallet of something that no one really knows that they want.
Have you sold any of those egg spoons yet?
My brain's trying to think of something and I can't think of anything. So
the problem with Adam with that is he doesn't know what's trending right now.
No.
He just thinks that'll be okay. Maybe, and sometimes it is, sometimes not so much.
Out of curiosity though, Adam, have you sold any of that stuff yet?
Yes. Yeah, someone bought some egg spoons off me, so that was good.
Was that someone we know, or is that...
Yes.
I'm not sure that counts, Adam.
That counts as a sale.
Well, I thought they were pretty cute, Gigi.
Well, yeah, they were, but I'm not sure that counts in that they were a good thing to buy.
Well, it might get looking at the listing. Do you know what I mean? If someone comes in and buys, that's the way I figure it. There you go.
We talked about the rate, didn't we? So one other thing. Why am I echoing?
It's got to be Adam. What are you doing now?
Yeah, what are you doing, Adam?
Yeah, try now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's better. So the other thing that is trending at the moment is changing if you are using a static promoted listing, right? It's trending at the moment to change it to the varied rate. Thoughts?
That's where you select, say, between 2 and 5%, and it varies depending on the trends. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, mine, they'd probably put them all up because the trends are all up much higher than what I'm promoting already, aren't they?
Well, yeah. So generally, if that happens, so if you're promoting, you've got yours, say, to only go from 2% to say 10%, right? And the current rate is 16%. You're going to be going at 10%. It's going to be very rare that it's going to go below that 10%.
But you can set it. But you can set it to just the maximum it goes is this percent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Sandra. I'm saying that if you have yours set between a bottom of 2% and a top of 10%, say, I'm using that just as an example.
Oh, okay.
But
I would only go 5% because I'm stingy.
Yeah, I was just using that as a round figure. But if the actual current rate is, continually, maybe it's 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 18, 11, 13, if it's always over 10%, you'll pretty much be at a static rate anyway, if it's not coming under.
So are you saying when you say is that the rate it is that people are making sales at? Is that what you're telling me?
It's what they are telling you. You know how they give you that recommended rate?
Yeah, so that's basically they say recommend this because this is where the sales are at, yeah?
That's what they're doing. So if the recommended rate is always above what your top is, you're always going to be paying up to that top amount anyway. So it only works. It would only work. So in the example I gave, it would only work if you had, say, keep your bottom rate at 2%, but your top, the highest you were going to go was going to be, 15%, then at least you know that there are going to be times when you're going to be paying less than 15%. So I guess what I'm saying is, the varied rates are good, but you need to work out what the lowest rate that people are paying, because if the lowest rate that is being used over, say, a period of a week is 12%, say, if you cap it at 10%, you're still going to be paying 10%. So the varied rate is no benefit. Does that make sense?
I'm happy on 3%. I don't have things that are like multitudes listed, so.
So are you promoting everything at 3%, Sandra, or?
No, there's things I don't promote, but the things I promote, and I am tending to do more promotions at the moment just to see if that does give a more stable sell through. I don't know. I'm just.
So when you're saying you're doing more, is that more?
More listings I'm promoting.
Yeah, okay. So you're not increasing the promoted amount?
No, I don't see. There's the odd one or two in my store that are 5% from way back when I first joined Chris's group. But, they're not selling anyway. I've got to go through and rejig all of those. But
anyone else got any thoughts on the very promoted rate versus static one?
Haven't tried it. Not intending to at this stage.
Yep. I mean, I don't.
Have you used it?
Yeah, I use it. Some things I've.
What do you think?
Some things I have on a set rate. Some things I have on a varied rate, and then if I generally find if things seem to be a little bit tough, I'll swap it from being varied to set, or from set to varied, and just to change it up a bit. That seems to work.
So you have different promotions that you can just change it with.
Yep.
Like you do your promotion. I watched that Ebert, and he was showing you how to set that up.
Yeah, so I use policies, which I have made videos about that in the past, Sandra. So yeah,
yeah, but I was just watching Ebert, and he was very you know, I don't know.
So,
Sorry.
So, I swap it over and change a bit from different times. I mean, look, realistically, the main clothing you're not going to get, especially in women's clothing, you're not going to get the sales without promoting, at a decent amount. So I do, so I can that helps with the sales. But, I don't find a great, overall, if I look at it as an overall thing, probably don't find a great deal of difference. But I do, so I have my policies set up, so if it's my different categories I promote at different rates, but they're all automatic, so I don't actually have to promote the item. I have it set so that if I'm selling a book that is priced between $25 and I can't remember the figure off the top of my head, but I think it might be, say, $60 or $70. If it's priced in that middle bit, I promote it. It'll automatically get promoted at that rate. If it's under that $25, that pretty much means it's most likely a book that I've got in a variation listing. And so anything under 25, in the books I don't promote, because I don't want to promote the variations anymore. I was promoting them at the start that helped get them going, but I don't need to now. Anything over... I think it might be 70, I think. Might be the thing. Any books I've got that are over $70 are going to tend to be... Chances are it's going to be a vintage book. It's not very often I have a new book. And so being vintage, it's probably going to be a bit rarer. There's not going to be a lot of them about. I don't feel I need to promote those either. So I only promote the books in the middle. Clothing, as I said, I do promote, but I've got different rates. So, I promote the hats at one rate. I promote jeans at another rate. I promote, depending on the category, it just goes into that little whatever rate I've got it going at the moment.
So the only thing that I promote are things that I have in multiple quantities, like my staples, my books that I've got multiple new books of. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's something you could probably give a try at some point, putting a 2% promotion on it even. I mean, just something to think about.
Yeah, well, if it helps with sales, it would help with traffic.
Yeah, because I did find... Yeah, it does, and I found that I was, even though it's costing me, so on average, well, I have a look, just so I'm not telling lies, telling Porky double down. Hello, Matt. So across the board, my average, no, I don't have that as an average, but so eBay fees, right? In my spreadsheet, I do, so you put in the transaction fee and the ad fee. So as I said, some things have ad fees, some things don't, but across the board, my average is of eBay fees plus the promotion is at 15% current. But some things like, for example, the fee plus the ad fee works out at 19%. So depending on what it's promoted at. Look, here's the dearest one I've got is 22%. That would be clothing, yes. So that'd be closer to 8 or 9% probably. So yeah. But but what I worked out when I first started doing it was the amount of money that costs me versus this dollar value in the sales that I get in from it, it was worth doing. So if I look at my promoted things for this month, it's cost me $126.17 in eBay fees. And you've got to remember, this is including the ad fees as well as the promoted listing fee as well as the normal eBay fee. So where I'm up to on my spreadsheet, so that's not for all of this month, that's only where I'm up to, which was last week. So $126 it's cost me to make $706 in revenue-wise. So the amount that I pay, I need to work that out. Let's put aside.
I cringe at the thought of spending that much, giving 20%.
Yeah, so I've spent...
I know other people put a lot more in.
Well, I've only spent this, so from between the 6th of November and the 11th, I've only spent $17.94 on promoted listing fees. And then,
So do you think if you hadn't promoted them so high, do you think they wouldn't have sold?
Possibly. Particularly when it comes to the clothing. So if I look at it, I'll go through the ones that I've paid a promoted fee on, right? So I sold a book for $65.70 and I paid $5.94. So it must be $70, must be where I'm cutting that off. It cost me $4.50 to sell a $37 women's top. Pardon me. $3.52 to sell another book that was $40. $3.98 to sell another women's women's top, $4.17 to sell a hat that I've got $32 for. $2.86 for a $26 women's top. Yeah, and that's all there's been in promoted ones. So for me, the cost that I'm paying. So
most of your sales are organic then? God. Is that what you're saying?
More are organic than are promoted, yes.
Oh, okay.
Currently. Yep. So in that period, in that same time frame, it's... no, that can't be. But so... hang on. Well, let me look at previous month. That's right, because when I went to the, thing where I get the information from, they changed it and it annoyed me. Something wrong with that. Well, so for the first week of this month, I had 14, in the same time period, I had 14 organic sales versus 3 promoted listings. I'm going to say it's probably about 1 in 5, 2, 3, 4, 7, 5. 26 out of 77 sales were promoted.
That's not bad.
Yeah, but I guess the thing being that you have to be able to afford to pay that promoted listing fee. So it's no good promoting through the roof. So my take on it was this is somewhere on one of my computers is a spreadsheet that I made at the time to work it all out so that I wanted to be sure that if I was paying out, it was when I sort of went from like 2% promotions up to like 7% at the time, which was horrendous. If I increased it that much and I used the previous month's figures to work it out on, roughly would those, if given, let's assuming that we didn't get those sales if I hadn't promoted, that those sales only became because I did promote, which theoretically is how it's supposed to work, then I was still well in front.
Yeah, and sometimes it's worth it, isn't it? But I don't think it makes that much difference sometimes with books, whether you promote high or not. I mean, I promote low, but I don't think it makes, I don't know, it's more pricing.
Yeah, I think with books, if you were selling not even new books, but newer books, like current books, I think they are probably slower if you're not promoting. But I think with the vintage books, that's a whole different ballgame. That's my own personal thought. Have no data to back that up. And as I said, I stopped, once I get my variation listings at a certain level, I stopped promoting them altogether. And, well, no, that's a lie. Because I've got books in some of my variations that I've got, priced at $40. If I sell one of those, I'll cop a ad fee because it's not in the under $25 category. But I also wanted to be able to promote those books in that middle range, like $25 to, as I said, $70, that I've got. They're the books I've got the most of that I want to try and churn over a bit quicker. So I wanted to pay a fee on those to try and get them to, get a bit of eyes on them. And then the hope is that someone comes into the store and also sees, an $80 book and thinks I'll buy that too. Does it happen? Rarely, but...
No.
I can always hope, can't I?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd want to meet some of these buyers that come into your store and buy multiple items. Like, when does that happen, except in a variation? And even then, my variations have only sold one at a time for the last, I don't know how long.
I probably don't tend to find it happens often in books. I think I have it happen with clothing, because if people have bought plus-size clothing, they'll come back and look. I mean, sometimes I'm sure they come back and look and I haven't got anything in their size, but then other times I would do, and they'll buy 2 or 3 things, and then I mightn't hear from that person for another 12 months, and then all of a sudden they've popped back up. Someone bought three shirts that I posted yesterday, and I didn't realise until I was, got to the end and I went to enter the information in the computer and I went, oh, that says repeat buyer. And it wasn't because, so I went and checked it because I was thinking, oh, that's only because they bought the 3 things. But it had repeat buyer on all 3 things. So it wasn't like they bought 1 and then the second 2 were repeats. So I went back and checked, and sure enough, they were a past customer.
Well, that's excellent, because they probably know that if you've got a size and it's measured, that it fits them. Yeah?
Yeah.
Mm.
So, yeah. So... Now, this is probably this last one is probably the most contentious one out of everything that I've talked about, I will preface it to say that when Josh and I were in the group who shall be nameless, that we got kicked out of, and are supposed to be the best reselling group in the world, they were very adamant on you needed to be listing a minimum of 10 a day. To be getting consistent daily sales every day, you needed to be listing 10 a day. So that was where that first came from. Then I'll get to that in a minute. Then you'll get to, if you look around on YouTube even, there are quite a few, and I did find a few even. I didn't watch the video because I don't watch him, but, that guy up in Queensland is also currently saying 10 a day. That's not to say you can't list more than 10, but 10's that point where they say that you're going to get consistent daily sale, right? I found when I did because I know at the time I was doing about 6 or 7 a day, depending. And then I started getting this push about doing the 10, and it took me a while to get there, but I did get there eventually. I did find that once I got to that 10, that things did seem to start growing in my store. At that stage, I'd had a lot of private conversations with Sam, the hammock hustler. Very knowledgeable girl, very, very knowledgeable, very great, fantastic business mind. Don't know why she was ever a nurse, because she would have made a mozza if she'd been in business all her life. She's just got one of those brains, and she was able to put some.
I haven't seen any of her stuff, have I?
Yeah, Sam. She's she only on Instagram, but her and a lady from South Africa have been doing a podcast. It's the Banter and Business podcast.
Oh, that lady. Okay,
yeah,
no worries.
The one that I can't handle listening to, the South African lady, because her microphone's terrible. Really good business mind, Sam, and she was the one. So she was really encouraging me, and I'm not going to say pushing me, but really she was pushing me and encouraging me to see where I could go. And she was the one that first put me onto the idea of how can I streamline my processes, because this is what you need to work out, Sandra, I guess, that work out what things are taking you the longest so that you can get more listed. She had me to the point, I only did it for 1 month because it was too much. She got me up, I did 30 a day for a month, and it was hard work. And, I will say if I was fitter, it would be much easier. It would have been much easier, but, I had mobility issues. Because we're talking, going back 2 years probably, 18 months ago. So that was number one. If I was fitter, it would have been easier. But 30 was too much for me. I couldn't have kept that up. Long term, I would not have been able to keep that up. By hell, if I'd been able to, it would have been great, because sales... After about I was halfway through the month when all of a sudden my sales started skyrocketing, and they'd gone up substantially. I mean, I was listing 3 times as much as what I'd previously been doing. So, I was seeing the result of it. But it was damn hard work. So I guess you've got to work out what your limitations are, what your limit's going to be. I guess from my own personal experience, and from what all the experts keep telling you, I think, in all honesty, to be getting those regular daily sales, 10 a day, also been my experience. Because I could list a $400 book, it doesn't help me get any extra sale, even though it might be 4 times the value of what the 10 books I've listed are. I personally don't think the algorithm recognises that as much. I mean, I can't say that definitively, because I probably haven't done the list up to a certain dollar value model for long enough to get enough data to say that works, because usually when I've tried doing that in the past, so I've listed less, but for a lot, and I'm not talking a little bit more to increase my ASP, I'm talking, because I'm always wanting to increase my ASP, but I'm talking instead of listing 10 $40 books, I've listed 2 $400 book. I don't feel I got the same return in my sales until that $400 book sold. So my personal belief is that, 10 a day. And I don't, John and I were talking about this earlier, I also don't think if you're only doing it part-time and you're also working, 10 a day is possibly, depending on what you're selling, is not realistic for a lot of people. So that's where you need to work out what your limit is. That's going to be comfortable, because what is the point in doing it if you're hating it because it's too much like hard work after a full day's work? But if you're doing it full time, because that's the only thing you're doing, Adam, there's no reason why you can't be doing 10 a day.
Well, I found when I did have a streak of about a month while you're away, where I was doing 10 a day.
And
my
on the way, are you?
Doing it brilliantly.
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, so my sales did pick up quite a bit.
You're good.
So why did you stop doing it?
Yep. Hang on, I'll tell him to come.
Why did I stop doing it?
Bob wants you.
I got really lazy. I think that was it. I lost all motivation for some reason.
Yeah.
You were doing it. You did it longer than a month, Adam.
Was it longer than that?
Yeah.
Hi, Bob.
But I was doing it for quite a while.
Sorry, Jen, I've just muted you for a sec because, yeah. All right. So
I get no motivation. That's what it is.
Yeah. So in this group, like Adam, what can we do to help you to keep that motivation going?
No,
it's not like you don't have the good stock to list at your fingertips.
Yeah, I do. Well, technically. Well, literally, because it's right next to me. Yeah.
Within steps.
Yeah.
Even if
the other night when we
have to go into one of the other rooms, it's just steps away.
The other night when we went through all the books, that was great, because that way I don't ever actually remember how long ago that was.
Yep.
I had books that way I could just pick them up and say, right, I'm going to draft that.
Right.
So that was great.
So
and then I put it in a tub.
Would it be good if we set up a schedule so that we did that once a week?
Yeah, that would be
at a certain time.
But I've good enough to...
I can't say it's not fun watching you scramble around and us yelling at you to go, no, over there, under that pole, no, that blue one. It is kind of fun.
Yeah.
For us.
It's 100% fun. Oh, it's fun for me.
Yeah.
So with this new whiteboard that I've bought, it'll be better because I've got that visual aid, I guess, that I need to do that.
Did you only buy one, or did you buy a pallet full?
Well, actually, I was looking at a pallet. No, I only bought the one this time.
Just checking.
So are you going to mount it somewhere, or is it just going to remain?
Well, I was thinking of mounting it on the wall, but I'm a bit worried about wires and stuff like that. I don't know what wires are.
Have you ever heard of 4M double-sided mounting tape?
Yeah, no, I want to put screws in because it's got like a screw thing on the back of it.
Right.
Don't worry about the landlord. He's fine.
Yeah.
Landlord, yeah. Really.
Well.
But yeah, gotta.
Just stay away from where there's a socket underneath you on the wall.
Oh yes, I could just drill straight into the. Yeah.
Sometimes doors are quite easy.
On the back of the. Yeah, I can't really do.
Yeah, pretty easy.
And
it'll get mounted at some stage.
All right, so we'll set that up. Happy to do that. And I guess when I look at, and I mean this may help others too. How did I work out how to refine my processes? One was talking to other people and what they did, and there was, I don't know, I can't even remember what it was, but there was one night in that group during the Australia call where something, I was sort of talking, bemoaning, I wish I could get faster, and somebody said something, and it was a click in my head that went, oh, well, why wasn't I doing that before? That speeded that particular thing up for me.
Didn't you film yourself as well?
The main thing, I was about to say, the main thing I did was, because people said to time yourself, but then in the group, that shall remain nameless, hello Rob, they always tell you, Rob says hi everybody, they always tell you to film yourself. Because not only do you find out how long it's actually taking you, you also, if you watch it back, and you don't have to watch it back at normal speed, you speed it up to watch it back. Watching it back, I could see different spots, like little things. Like the big thing I noticed, right, was I had one really good rule that I had, and I had one tape gun, and I had what else was there one of? Oh, I had one lint roller. But I would find things, particularly like say the tape gun and the lint roller, I might need them in the packing room when I was packing up sales, and then the next day I would need them back at the photo station where they were supposed to be, but I hadn't brought them back. And I would waste 3 or 4 minutes of time going back and forward and getting them. Just those little things. So I went and got extra ones. I made sure I had, had one at each place that I needed it. I made sure that I had, instead of having to go and fetch the biro that I was using, made sure I've got the same biro, the one that I like to use, which is the 4-colour click one, so that I've got all the colours of the biros that I need in the one pen, but one in each place. I think I've got there's one in the packing room, one on my desk, one on my photo station, and one in the spare room where I sort books, because I might have a notepad with me and might need to write something down there. Same with erasers, running around trying to find an eraser. So I made sure I went and bought half a dozen of the white erasers, made sure that I had one in each spot, because as much as I always try and erase the price or a bit of writing out of a book when I'm taking the photos, because it saves me having to worry about it later. And if anyone that watches Mel's videos, she doesn't do it until she's packing them. I always used to do it when I was taking the photos, but then inevitably I'd come across one that I'd missed.
But she'd do it in bundles. Anything she bundles.
So, I'd have to go and then find the eraser. So I made sure I had them in all the same spots. Same with Post-it notes, just to make sure I had multiples. So that saved me time. But yeah, watching myself back was picking up those things, changing the position of the side. So where I had originally where I had my pile of clothes that I would pick up from to take photos of, it was all, but when I watched it back on the video, I've gone, oh, you're taking twice as long to do that because it was all back the front. I was basically having to double the amount of steps that I was taking, and taking me twice as long, because everything, if I had just swapped that to the other side, which is where it is now, it meant that once I took the photo, it went on that right-hand side, which was right next to where it gets stored. Simple thing. Oh, I can tell you what the thing was. So my jeans go into bags, and those bags go into the boxes that slide into the shelves. And I've got the perfect boxes that slide into my shelves where I store my jeans, and they're at the back of the room. But I would have to go and take the jeans down, because I would try and put them away as I went. So I'd go and put the pair of jeans away, and then I'd have to come back to where I was doing the photos. And someone said to me, why don't you just take the box out and put it next to you? Yeah, why don't I? Which meant...
I now bring my boxes home because you said that.
Yep.
So every time I do everything, I just put it straight in the box.
Yep, straight in the box. Don't have to worry about it, and it's done, dusted, and I wish I could get into that with my books, but it hasn't quite happened as much as I would like it to do with my books. Although, I mean, look, I kind of have refined how I do my skewing with my books, in that the minute the photos are taken, they do go into a tub. So I haven't got piles of books skew-iffy everywhere. They're going to be either on the shelves, or they're going to be in those one of 3 tubs that are on the floor.
Well, once I take my photos, I put mine straight on the shelf.
Yeah. But so when you're saying that, are you taking the photos and then taking it out to the shelf? Or are you taking photos of multiple items and then taking them out to the shelf?
I'm taking photos of multiple items.
Yeah.
And then take them all out, put them all up.
Yeah. And I guess, so for me, when I was doing that, because again, part of that's because of my back and stuff. Sometimes if I push myself and get to, instead of listing 10 items, I've listed 15, and 7 of those were clothing items, like on my back, I do not want to pick up those books and carry them and try and skew them. So that was where I had to work something else out for that, because I wasn't able to do that. If I was doing a smaller amount of books, I could be keeping up with that. But yeah, the variation listings completely stuffed that up. So, because I'm listing so many more books, I'm not able to sometimes. I can some days I can't. And I've got to be careful to get that balance, because I don't want to get back to where I was a month ago with my bad sciatica, where I could hardly, sit down, let alone, do other things. So that's just a personal thing because of my mobility, though.
11.
Other thoughts? But yeah, I thought that, Sandra, that to me, that would be the big thing for you. And it's kind of like I went for ages. Chris Furlong would tell me, time yourself. Octo would tell me, time yourself. Who else was telling me? Brad and Jaz had told me to time myself. Sam had told me to tell myself. Did I do it? No. I procrastinated on it because I couldn't see in my head for some reason. I couldn't see the point. And I was just at that point. I really, really was at that point. I wanted to keep growing. I wanted to do more. I just couldn't get past that certain point, and I thought, okay, I'll do it.
My photos are much quicker now. I've gotten much quicker with photos.
Yeah.
Just the listing is really slow.
So is that the actual entering the stuff into the computer? What part of and that's what I mean. Like, so I actually filmed myself doing everything.
I'm very slow data entry.
So,
excuse me.
Do you do one book at a time, or do you do batches?
Well, I usually, if I can, I do batches. Otherwise, I'll do individual books. Like today, I did individual books, and then I started on the variation thing.
Yeah. So here's the other question for you, because this is
quickest at doing variations. That's probably my quickest listing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is good, isn't it? So my other thing that did work for me with those was listing similar genre books or similar type of books when I'm doing on Tuesday, say, and this is not always how I did it, but I'm just saying, if I was going to list that day, I would list all Mills and Boon, all Nana Porn. Wednesday, list all fantasy paperbacks. Thursday, list all thriller hardcovers. And the reason I say that is, and this is where the templates come in, I would then take my basic template and I would fill out what I could for that particular genre or type of book, add those extra categories in, and then once I'd finished those, because it makes it's surprising how much difference not having to fill out even one of those item specifics. And if you're doing a similar genre, there's probably 3 or 4, maybe more, item specifics that you can have pre-filled out for those particular listings, and then at the end, when you finish that batch, you delete those extra things so it's back to normal for the next lot.
Yeah, I think I take even longer to do listings now because I'm adding topics and doing that little bit of research for most things, which I shouldn't do.
Again, I add topics as many as I can, Sandra, but again, that's where I find that the templates work fantastic, because if you're listing all fantasy, a lot of the topics are going to be the same. So you can actually pre-fill out the topics in your template, list all those, and then delete those topics out for the next lot of books. So if you're going to be listing all on this day, I'm going to list all classic literature, I can't even say it. Literature, or I'm going to do all poetry. You can put in
literature.
Yeah, I can't say it. Put in all those. The more you try and say a word like that, I give up because you just get worse. I can say it, but not today. Yeah. So if you're doing those topics, I find that works fantastic for me because it allows me to do those really quickly. So that's just a thought to also help you speed up. It doesn't mean you have to have 50 templates like some people that I know very well personally. I
think I've got about 20.
Yeah, it just means adapting. So I've got, for example, I have got templates. So I've got a template for hardcovers without dust jackets, a template for hardcovers with dust jackets, a template for ex-library books, a template for paperbacks, a template...
Yeah, I guess mine aren't as...
So out of those, right? But if I'm going to be listing all... like I came home, the majority of the paperbacks that I came home from Mildura with were fantasy, and they were all... it's all similar-ish type of fantasy type, dragons and, mythical creatures and magic and that sort of stuff. So if I was listing those individually, I would just pull up my paperback template, type in those topics, type in the genre, all got to go to a similar... I'm going to put them as adult and young adult, all those sorts of... Fill out all those things in that template, list all those books, then delete those things, ready for the next lot. I mean, look, theoretically, I don't delete what I used the previous time, because the next time I might go and do the same ones again. I tend to delete them before I start the next lot.
I haven't revised. I just go back to the same listing and then just the same template and then just tweak it. So I guess that takes longer.
Yeah. And the other tool, of course, for everybody, if you want to speed up, is our friend ChatGTP. ChatGTP.
Or Gemini.
The AI, well, yeah, any AI will work. Although, that being said, does Gemini remember your settings, Sandra? Like, does it remember what you ask it?
I don't know.
Oh.
I just edit the last question I asked, and I have a set question I ask, and I leave it at that. Right. And I just edit it every time because I'm a bit klutzy.
So, for anyone that doesn't use it, if you want to use... So, how I use it, I use ChatGTP because, I have tried Gemini. Gemini's good. It gives you good responses. But it doesn't retain... I guess, is there a paid version of that or no? I don't think so. Not like there is with the ChatGTP.
I I tried to join ChatGTP and it took me off on this wild goose chase, and I thought, nah, this doesn't even want me.
Oh. So I've trained mine, and all I have to type in now, I type in my title, and as much as my title as I can. Sometimes I need keywords, but I type in like the book name, the author, the year, hardcover or paperback, dust jacket or no, if it's got a dust jacket. I type that in to the title, so it's already in the title. I copy that, I stick it into ChatGTP. It automatically creates me a blurb, and then under that, in HTML code, because I do mine that way, under that it provides me with the genres and keywords so that I can instantly look at those and recognise it. So
I have a question I ask it to write a blurb about the book and or the author, depending, and it says genre and topic are important, and if it's kids, I say, and the age range.
Yeah.
But it always gives me some topic. So sometimes when you're looking for keywords for your title, it'll bring something up. Doesn't always, but yeah, it's handy.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyone that's not using that, think about it, because it is a bit of a speed-saving tool that still allows you to do those things. Still put in a good book blurb without actually having to go and Google it and cut and paste.
And if you do it at the beginning, it can give you some hints for your keywords for your title.
Big time, but yeah. So that's it. That's all I was going to talk about. What else does everybody else want to talk about? Questions, thoughts, anything new you've learnt that you want to tell the group? But yeah, keep an eye on those promoted listings though, because, as I said, America, they've only just put them up to 5%. And they didn't tell them, so there are a few unhappy sellers. No more. She's all over Red Rover.
I think everyone's eating.
Okay.
I'm sure.
No, everybody's eating there. Yeah.
Okay.
Thinking hard about what they're supposed to be doing.
All right. So, Mike, I've got a question that I would like to go around and ask everyone, because for 2 years and 9 months since I've been selling secondhand books on eBay, and I've had to listen to other people tell me about how they found a Folio Society book in the op shop and how wonderful it was and valuable it was and
blah, 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 blah,
blah, blah, blah, blah, blah. And me having to sit there and grit my teeth and be very jealous because the chances of me finding one of those in Donald was going to be next to no zilch. When I was in Mildura on the weekend, I found my very first Folio Society book. And I only paid $1 for it, and it's probably worth $50 to $60. I'll probably be able to get for it. It's not one of the bigger value ones, but I'm pretty happy with it. And I'm probably going to list it for much more than that, so that I can enjoy it sitting on my shelf for a while. And I haven't listed it yet. I keep putting it down the bottom. Every time I pull out a new batch of books, I stick it down the bottom because I don't want it to list it, but I will have to eventually list it.
What happens? You don't want it to just sit there. It's money sitting in there in a pile. That's what you told me.
Looking at it,
and I did
nice.
It
doesn't sell.
It took me so long to find it. So that was my bolo. That was one of the few items on my bolo list. Like, I found some Levi 501s. I was so excited the first time I found my first pair of G-Star Raw jeans. What else have I had that I considered bolos that I knew about before I found them? I mean, I found bolos, but it was after the fact. It wasn't like I was looking for them. So there were certain ones of those. Ian Fleming, James Bond book. I found first edition, and sold it for good money in a very short space of time. And the folios...
Most of mine accidentally found, I must admit. I haven't gone out thinking that I'm looking for that, but I've found them accidentally.
Yeah. And once I found out about the Octavia Butler, for example, I always, if I'm in it, particularly not, I'm going to say always, most op shops do alphabeticalise their books, although the one I was in on the weekend had them all colour-coded instead. All the green books were together and the orange books were together.
Don't you just love that?
I did give them a pass, though, because they are one of the organisations in Mildura that actually do work support for disabled younger people. And so I'm assuming that's why they've done it that way, because they would be able to come and put the books out, which they wouldn't be able to do if they were alphabeticalised. So I'm giving them a pass. But it's annoying for me as a person looking for books. But I'll always look under the B's, and I always look under the F's, for example, to see if there's not a Fleming there or there's not a Octavia Butler. Or a Jean Wolfe is another one. What was the other horror one? The Necroscope books.
Lovecraft, and don't forget Philip K. Dick.
Yep, Necroscope books. Brian Lumley, that's the one I'm trying to think of. There's been books like that I've... over time, I've found, but that Folio Society was that one thing that was still irking me that I hadn't found. And I've knocked that off my list. Now I need to find another one. So has anyone got that one thing that they're still yet to get, that they've been trying to get?
Mambo Loud shirt.
Yeah, well, okay, that's still on my bolo list too, John. Sorry, yep. I agree. How many times have you gone and reached for the shelf thinking, this is one, and you pull it out and it's a Lowe's shirt?
Well, I think I knew that they were a Lowe's shirt, but I looked anyway.
Yeah, well, you got to look anyway, just in case.
I've found Mambo, and I've found Mambo shirt, I've found Mambo jeans, but they're not the real McCoy.
No, not the Mambo Loud.
Mambo Arts, is that what they call them? Something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Target Mambo, or what's it best?
The Mambo Loud are not from Target or...
Best and Less used to have some Mambo or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah, there's Mambo Arts, which is just general Mambo. It's still all right. So you don't get great money for them. But Mambo Loud we're talking 20, 30 times the amount of a cheap Mambo. Maybe 30. Maybe, yeah.
And the other thing I still have on my list to pick up is a single stitch vintage band T-shirt.
Yep, got one of those, yeah.
Yeah.
And I do look.
We should do a reseller bingo
Me
card.
too.
Reseller bingo card, now we're talking.
Yeah.
I must admit, ever since Christian said it, I've been looking for a Saddle Club plush, but not seen one.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I
am looking out for a Tasmanian Devil plush now that I know that they exist.
Oh.
I mean, not a Tasmanian Devil, a Tasmanian Tiger.
As a media seller, there are certain titles that you would love to find out in the wild. The Prisoner Cell Block H,
yes.
The Bill.
Guys, Sebastian,
there's a few out there that you'll never find, or you'll find bits and pieces.
I think my brother-in-law's got the Bill, but all in VHS, I think.
Yeah, that's harder to sell. No, I was lucky enough to get the one-piece collection, 1 through 10, and that one sold for close to $650 for that set. So,
and of course,
there are diamonds in the rough out there, but hard to find.
Of course, we all know we should be looking for a lava lamp with rocket legs now too.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
But be prepared that you're going to have to ship it to America and it may go missing when it gets there.
Right.
On Halloween, and who the heck, if he's paid for signed delivery, then it's UPS's.
Yeah.
Like, really?
Yeah. And, thankfully, eBay agreed because it was... Yeah.
I reckon Mrs. Octo's going to find it in the shed one day.
Possibly. Well, he bought it for himself. He wanted that lava lamp. And then he looked up and found out how much it was worth because he showed a couple of people that he got this lava lamp, and I said, oh, that's got rocket legs on it. And then someone else had a look at it and said, yeah, that's worth a lot of money. And then he looked it up and then decided
Then
to
there was
sell it.
that one on the Facebook page, and he bought this these 2 jackets, and he was asking people what they thought of them. He said, I'm definitely keeping this particular jacket. And someone said, are you sure about that? And he said, well, yeah, it'd probably be worth about $250, but I really like it. I said, no, $750, $800.
Yeah.
So he was having to revise his decision whether he was selling it or not.
Yeah. And I always look at that as a reseller, and it's a bit like my Folio Society book. That's one of the advantages we have as resellers. If we find something that we really like for ourselves, we've always got that option of pricing it up. And then if someone does pay for it or sends us a decent offer, we've got that option of then selling it, letting it go. But we also may get to keep it for a bit longer.
I'll tell you what I have got my eye open for, and I've never seen, and they say that you can find them in the shops, but I've not seen one, which is the paperback rage.
The paperback
Stephen King.
Yes, okay.
If it's in good nick, you're selling it for $1,000, $2,000.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen one. I hardly even see a Stephen King book.
Sorry?
I hardly ever spy a Stephen King book these days.
I think they've siphon them off. There's enough people in them that they know. But I think if ever I could just spot that, just casually in a pile somewhere at a garage. But I don't go to garage sales, so, that's why I don't find them there. But, yeah, it would be so, or even some first US editions would be really nice. But I don't see them. I try, but I don't.
Yeah. What about you, Jen? Have you got a bolo that you haven't found yet that you would like to find? Of course, I always like to find my bolo that I have found in the past, and everyone can laugh at me, but are my little black pickaninny dolls. And I have found, I've probably had, maybe I've had about 5 over time, but and I sell them. But, yeah, I haven't found one for a while, though.
Neil, could you put your bolo in the chat?
Yeah, Vanessa, you can too if you don't want to speak. You can type in the chat. Matt, what about you? Do you have a bolo?
No.
I'm sure Matt would have a bolo that he'd be looking for. Well, maybe he's found them all.
He's probably got multiple copies of them.
Probably has. Maybe I'll be able to pinch a few when I go to visit.
You're going to visit, are you? Have a look.
I am at some stage. Because he's moved to Seaford.
Is that closer to you?
No, it's further away from me, but that's the same suburb. He lives about, what did he say, about 2 kilometres away from where my birth father lives.
I'm back.
He's back.
We need to do a catch-up. And Melbourne seems to be the place, unless we all go to WA. But
could all go to Boston.
Yeah.
Nice big.
Is that Boston, Massachusetts you're talking about? So, I was asking Matt, is there a particular bolo that you still haven't found that you would really like to find in the wild?
Probably a few Australian comic books from the 60s. There's like a handful that had pretty large print runs, but they're pretty sought after now. So if I could find those, would be great.
Yep.
The kind of thing that only certain comic fans would pick up on, sort of Australian versions of Spider-Man and Daredevil and what have you.
Okay. So is that a common thing? I know it is with books, but is a common thing with the comics for the Australian versions, say, to have a different cover than the US or the UK versions?
Yeah, it used to be. There were there'd be the American versions, and then there were certain Australian companies that would print Australian versions.
Right.
And they would get local artists to do the covers, which ended up thousands of comics. And there was even there's also a period after World War II where American comics were kind of banned. I think it was it was to promote industry in the country.
Right.
And but there was a local industry that boomed at that time, and those comic books are pretty valuable now, but they're hard to come by.
Yep.
That's probably about it, really, though. I managed to get a Folio Society or 3 over the years. There's that book by the Spaniard, his book about his life.
The Spaniard?
The Spaniard? Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
on YouTube.
That sounds brilliant.
Yeah, that was like
I have it.
$100 plus book. So that's about it, though, really, I think.
First Folio by William Shakespeare.
Was that the first Folio Society book they brought out?
No, I'm just reading a rare book called First Folio by William Shakespeare.
I had one that was a folio of William Shakespeare's, but it wasn't a folio book. I thought it was, and I listed it, And someone said to me, no, that's not a folio book. Check your listing, check your book.
Yeah.
And it was an American folio of Shakespeare's,
Right.
the original writing and stuff. It was
Okay.
it was the Shakespeare collection, but it was in old script,
Yeah.
English, as it was written.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess,
I love
well, I
the-
mean, now that I've picked up a Folio Society book, I'm looking now if I could pick up a fairy book. The fairy, I'll tell you, that was one that I did know about and that I had sort of kept my eyes open for, was the fairies, like fairies book as in F-A-E-R-I-E-S. Fairies book by, now it's going to elude me. The two guys. Anyway, it's worth good money if you get a good first edition. And there was the ones you had, Sandra, the little rabbit ones. You know, the rabbit with the wings?
Pookie.
Yeah, Pookie.
Pookie books. Lovely.
And see, when I found that my first one of that, I had no idea what they were. And my friend that was in Werribee, her neighbour, and she was really good friends with her nickname's Pookie. And so I thought to myself, I want to show this to Lynette, like, because she might want to give this to Pookie. I was going to be generous and just give it to her until I looked up how much it was worth. And
So hold on, are Pookie books worth money?
yes, they are.
Shit. All right.
So Vanessa says, I do like looking for Murano glass. Yes, very nice. And autograph books. Yes, true. But I'm always looking for a Ladro wedding piece that was broken in the Newcastle earthquake that was a wedding gift from my dad and have not found as yet. Nice. Yeah, nice ones to look at. Murano glass. I used to, when I was selling breakable items, although paperweights are probably hard to break. Not good break. I liked finding the nice Murano style, because I never found a Murano one, but would find some nice Murano style ones.
Yeah, my local Salvos had about 200 fruit, like pieces of fruit in glass, and the real ones are Murano.
Yes.
And I looked at these things and I thought, oh, they're brilliant. Took a photo, went home, looked and thought, nah, Murano style, not the real thing. And
yeah.
the difference in price was about probably fourfold. It wasn't a huge amount, but it was enough for it not to be worthwhile.
Yeah.
And they would have had, when they started, they would have had 200 pieces. Yeah. And I was prepared to buy pretty well the lot. If they were,
And plus then you've got the whole thing of the being breakable when you're selling, posting them too.
I was going to ask you about how to do all that.
Everything that I sold that was breakable arrived safely. I obviously packaged it well, but the stress of waiting for, there was a couple of pieces in particular, the stress of waiting for them. It was the piggy bank. The piggy bank did me in. I'll never forget that piggy bank.
I've got a Winnie the Pooh piggy bank that I'd love to list and stuff, but yeah, it would break.
Well, this particular piggy bank was about, I'm going to say, a good 12 inches round, like 12 inches from side to side. It was huge. It was massive. And so that's a big circle of ceramics that, is hollow in the middle. I've never seen one that big, and it was one of those mid-century modern kitschy-looking pigs, with a really cute little face. And yeah, it was worth.
I love them. Yes.
It was gorgeous, and turned out to be quite a bit of money. And the stress of boxing that one up. Vanessa says, GG, my eldest collects folio books, and some of the costs are crazy. Lucky he works on the mines. Yeah, well, he can. Then, yeah. And if you're buying them for your personal collection, it's a whole different thing, isn't it, than looking for them to sell. But some of them are beautiful too. Some of them are. My failing, of course, is illustrated books that have got beautiful illustrations, and I want to keep them. And yeah.
All the folio books have the best illustrations. No, some of the illustrations aren't good, but most of them have really beautiful illustrations.
Yeah, well, Vanessa says $800 plus. Yeah.
That's when you go on to eBay, because very often people who are sourcing them, the collectors who have had them previously, like half of mine had never been out of the slipcase, I don't think. They were just, you couldn't even open the pages. Like Peep's diaries were stuck together still from being in the factory. They'd never been separated. The 3 books were joined. I thought, well, God, there's a problem with these. They're all joined. But I did eat them apart. But
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it then. Good chat. Everybody get something out of tonight. And can I please ask if everyone could make an effort to vote in the poll that I've put up in the general chat? regarding the start time for this, because that's something we probably do need to talk about. I just tending to find that 9:30 is probably starting to be, because I'm getting old, a bit late for me. And it's not, I'm fine to do it, but then it's the winding down afterwards. That's where I struggle.
Where I find a bit of weed helps. Said that out loud, did I?
You did, Adam. It's all right. I'll cut the end off the recording, perhaps. Shall I?
Yep.